Good evening and welcome to How to Succeed with WebEx. I am the Pathway Scholars Program Project Director. My name is Amy Valdesari. In addition to directing this grant-funded project, I also am a professor here at Bergen Community College, and I've been learning, as you have, how to get along with WebEx. So I thought that from your instructor's perspective, it might be interesting to know some tips, things that will help you stand out in your class and to succeed. So let's begin. Okay, so as you have realized by now, learning online and as well as teaching online can feel kind of awkward, and you also might feel a little lonely or isolated from the other students. But if you follow the tips that are coming next, I think it will help you feel much more confident in your online classes and help you stay connected with your professor just as you would if you were in person this semester. Okay, so tip number one, and this is by far the most important tip. Be sure you're checking your Bergen email daily, at least. If you're very well organized, you might want to try to check it 2 or 3 times a day. I would recommend, if you have a smartphone, excuse me, that you install your Bergen email on it so that you can check it wherever you are and just stay up to date. The reason for this is because with remote instruction, your instructors are going to be relying more heavily than ever on email to stay in touch with you. They will email the invitations to WebEx classes. They'll email potentially assignments or reactions to you. So it's really important that you are keeping up with that at least every day. Tip number 2, and this one is a little tricky for some people, but if at all possible for you, please keep your camera on when you're first joining the class. I understand that for some people, maybe you don't have a camera, so this doesn't apply, or maybe your camera is not working. But if your camera is in working order, please do leave it on. Having face-to-face contact with your professors and with even the other students in the class makes a huge difference to feeling connected. It also will help you stand out to your professors if they have a chance to see your face. This doesn't mean that you need to keep your camera on the whole time, of course. I know it can eat up a lot of bandwidth, and if you're sharing your internet with siblings and parents maybe also working from home, that can be tricky. But even just for the first couple of minutes, if you could share your photo, that would be your image, that would be really helpful. Okay, tip number 3. While you are participating in a WebEx class, please keep your microphone off. Mute yourself unless you are speaking. When there are too many people on a WebEx with unmuted, we start picking up lots of feedback. This happened to me in a class just last night, and it was only one student who had her microphone off, but she had, I don't know, her family talking in the background, and it was very difficult for me to concentrate on the information I'm trying to lay out for students while I have all this feedback going on through my headset. So please do keep that microphone off and just use it when you want to speak. Tip number 4, oh, is this ever important? I've learned this the hard way. Try to eliminate the distractions that can go on in the background. You remember when we were live in class, whether it was at Bergen or in high school, that there were a lot fewer distractions. Everyone was hopefully paying attention. You had your phone put away. There probably weren't a lot of people coming and going through the classroom, and you could focus. When you're learning at home, sometimes this is difficult. If you have a place in your home where you can work privately, let's say you have a bedroom of your own, you can shut the door, go there. If you don't have that kind of opportunity to be alone, then I would strongly suggest that you use headphones, because at least then you can hear what's going on in the class, and it possibly will help muffle what else is going on around you. And something that's definitely in your control is your cell phone. So if you're attending WebEx on a laptop or tablet or something, silence your cell phone just as you would in class. And also turn off notifications on whatever device you're using so you're not getting pop-ups that are distracting you from what's going on. Tip number 5, participate. Participation is always so important to professors. It's how they get to know you. It's how they know what you're understanding and perhaps what you're not understanding. And it means a great deal to all of us who are teaching right now. Of course, participation is a little more difficult online, but it's not impossible. So if you can, of course, turn on your microphone, answer a question, ask a question. That's a type of participation. Your professor may have some group project rooms. Be sure you enter those and do the work there. If you're uncomfortable with your microphone on speaking out loud, there's a chat feature on WebEx that's located usually along the bottom bar, the feature bar at the bottom. Looks like a cartoon speech bubble. Click on that and you can chat back and forth with your professor or with the entire class or with a selected student, and that will help make you feel more connected, and it will also let your professor know that you're paying attention. Teamwork is more essential now than ever, and I say up here, imagine speaking into a blank silent screen. It is really hard to just speak without any interaction with people. So again, if you can be interacting, or if you're able to keep your camera on, that's even better. Okay, in addition to participating during WebEx sessions, it can be really helpful to you and to your instructor if you meet one-on-one. So one-on-one meetings can take place in various ways. You could schedule a one-on-one WebEx where it's just the two of you chatting. You could also just use email, or if they've given you a phone number, you could arrange for a phone call. But however you do it, this is the equivalent of sitting in the front row. I'm sure you've been advised at some point by a teacher or a well-meaning parent or friend that by seating yourself in the front row, you are getting your professor's attention. You're more likely to pay attention. They will remember you and be able to connect with you better. So there's no front row in virtual learning, so we have to make our own. And the way to do that is to stay in contact or get in contact with your professor early on in the semester. Introduce yourself, ask any questions you have, and just let them know that you're interested in the class. Okay, so those are tips that are rather specific to WebEx, but I have a few additional ones just that are a little more general that will help you hopefully succeed this semester. A tip that I've seen as I was doing research about being successful online, a tip that I saw over and over and over again was this one, tip number 7. Treat online learning like it's a job, right? So if you've ever had a job, and I'm sure most of you have, you know that you need to show up on time, that if you've been given supplies that you need to do your job, you should have them with you, have them ready to go. This one's a little more specific to classes, but one of the tools you need for this job is your textbook. So if you don't have your textbooks yet, let's start working on getting those as soon as possible. By the way, if you're having trouble getting your textbook because perhaps you haven't gotten your financial aid book vouchers yet, let your professor know. This is another important way to stay in touch with your professor. Tell them you don't have your book yet, tell them when you expect to have it, and ask for support while you're waiting. And then finally, keep some kind of a calendar so you don't miss deadlines. It could be an online calendar, it could be a calendar app on your phone, or it could be a good old-fashioned, paper calendar or day planner. However you like to do it is fine, but let's make sure that you keep that calendar so you're not missing deadlines. Tip number 8, this looks a little bit, I think, like the prior tip about getting in touch with your professor, but this is a reminder that even though you may be in touch with them at the beginning of the semester, you should try to stay in touch with them throughout the semester. The reason is this. Many times, even the very best students with the very best intentions have something go on in their personal life that's disruptive. It could be, sadly, it could be a death in the family or an illness. It could be some changes in your circumstance at your job that are causing some difficulty for you when it comes to balancing school and work. So whatever the problem is, your best bet is always to let your professor know as soon as you possibly can. If we know what's going on, we can then try our best to accommodate you. So let's say your work schedule has changed and suddenly your hours have doubled. Perhaps your professor might be able to extend a due date for you, right? So these are things that you can sometimes work out as long as you are staying in contact with your professor. if you don't let us know, we have no idea what's going on. And it is quite frustrating, honestly. And it's worrisome in this climate if a student just suddenly stops showing up on Moodle, isn't turning in work, and isn't communicating about it. We are always nervous about what might be going on in your life. Maybe you've gotten sick. We don't know. So please keep us up to date. Okay, so you're all members of the Pathway Scholars Program, which provides a great deal of support primarily through the success coach that you have and the peer mentors. So you always have someone to reach out to if you have a need. But when you do, if your need is something that maybe we can't help with, there are lots of avenues to get all different kinds of help that are provided by the college. First of all, if you look at the top of this slide, you'll see that there is help using your portal, Moodle, email, etc. And what you can do is click on this link and visit the portal help and student help and see what they can do for you. If you are a non-native speaker of English, we have the English Language Resource Center, which provides support, like tutorial support, particularly with things that might be affected by a language barrier. And you can call them at this number, or you could email them here and request assistance. The Tutoring Center is available for all students, and it provides assistance with any class that you're taking at the college. And it also has an online writing center that's available to us right now. So that writing center can help you with any kind of papers that you're writing for any class, not just English classes, but for Psych 101 or Chemistry 100, right? No matter what the class is, there is support for you at the tutoring center. They can also arrange for study groups to get together and help each other study for important tests and that kind of thing. So you can call them at this number that I'm circling, or you could use this link to contact the tutoring center. An additional service that Bergen provides is personal counseling. This is different than the academic counseling that you receive from your success coach. This is really counseling that is private, that's confidential, and it is really geared toward helping you with any kind of personal struggle you might be having. Perhaps you are having a lot of anxiety for some reason, or maybe you're feeling like you're entering a period of depression and you need some help. This is the place to reach out to. The personal counseling is available in the Health Services Program, and this is the phone number. And this is the email. And as I mentioned, you can set up an appointment with a personal counselor. This is confidential and it is free. Many students are entering BCC are coming from a high school where maybe they had, excuse me, a 504 plan or an IEP, Individualized Educational Plan. In other words, you may have had some learning accommodations that were effective for you in high school. Many times, those accommodations can also be given at Bergen, but in order to find out what we can do for you, you would need to contact the Office of Specialized Services. The phone number is here, I'm circling it, and the email, or the website, sorry, is here. You can go on the website and it will have a contact us information. And then finally, we have an excellent library and some very, very talented librarians who can help with all sorts of projects. Right now, the library is virtual too, although you can request a book and then pick it up if you need a book. It's located in room L226 in the main building, or Pitkin building. This is the phone number that you can call. And you can go to the website here and you'll see lots of sections that can provide you help with things like citations, finding materials, etc. So the bottom line is that there are many, many resources here, either through the Pathway Scholars Program or for the college itself. And the thing that you need to do, you have one job, and that's to reach out and ask for help. I know that that can be a challenge for some people. It was for me. When I was young, I struggled with math all through high school. I just struggled. And we had a lovely walk-in math tutoring center that I could easily have visited, but I didn't. I thought it was, for some reason, I associated it with a sign of weakness, but that's the opposite. Asking for help, whatever that help may be, is a sign of strength. So don't forget that. Please reach out if you need anything. And finally, don't forget to take a break. I have to remind myself this. Of course, studying is important and school is important, but if you focus too hard, too long on your assignments, you can burn out early. And we don't like to see that. You've got to pace yourself. So when you're working, whether it's attending WebEx meetings, taking notes, writing papers, or taking tests, whatever the case may be sure that you are taking frequent breaks. I would suggest that you don't ever sit at your computer for longer than 2 hours at a time, and preferably 1 hour. The break doesn't have to be long. I'm not suggesting that you go out with friends or that you, watch a movie or something. It can be just a 10 or 15-minute break, but it's important to get away from your computer, walk around a little bit, maybe have a snack, perhaps chat briefly with a friend, just to give yourself a mental break from the work and from the screen. So be sure that you take care of that. And in general, take care of your health. Eat well, get some sleep, and get some exercise. Okay. So the Pathway Scholars Program and I both wish you a happy and healthy fall semester. These are trying times. It's a difficult time, but I believe that with the right tools, you can succeed and even thrive in an online environment. So please don't be dismayed by this. We are here to help you with whatever you may need. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and be sure to reach out to your success coach if you need anything at all. Thank you.